touring and just kind of being a rock star. And he recently made a decision to leave the band, and he has this entirely new endeavor that he's working on. He just opened a drug and treatment center in California, and I would love to introduce Casey Mahoney. Casey, how's it going? Hi.
My old friend.
Yes.
On the tour days.
That's right. Gosh, you have toured for a long time because we met on a tour, I don't even know how many years ago.
13 years ago.
He's keeping track. Okay, great. 13 years. 13 years. So Casey, you were just like a total rock star for the past few years in this group, 9 Electric. Tell us about how you got started with the band, kind of what the schedule was like. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I've been on and off the road since 2004, and you kind of meet people along the way. And what I used to do is I would kind of tour for a while and take a few months off and maybe work jobs or run businesses and stuff, and then I'd go back on the road. So some of the people I met on the road were telling me about a new band that was starting. My old friend Ron Underwood, who was, when I was on tour with Dry Kill Logic, which is a name you might know if you're in Providence. Dry Kill Logic's like hardcore band. I was in that band for a little while, and I met Ron, and he was starting a new band, 9 Electric, and I actually found their ad on Craigslist.
Awesome. I met some of my best friends from Craigslist, and I'm not even kidding.
So this ad said, oh, we have Ron from Opiate for the Masses, and we're starting this new band, we need a bass player. So I called up Ron and I said, Ron, are you really in this band? Because if you are, maybe I'll join. And he said, yeah, I'm in it. And so I joined, and we played around Hollywood for years, and then we got a record deal, and then we toured the country. I mean, so many times. And we toured with a lot of big bands. We played shows with Static X and Megadeth and Drowning Pool and Powerman 5000. And so we've toured and toured,
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you kind of lived this rock star thing for a while, and then a few months ago you decided to part ways and sort of leave it behind. What was sort of the impetus behind that decision?
Well, 12, 13 years on the road is a lot of touring, and I just kind of wanted to do something else, and I had this other thing I had cooking, kind of all the time. I used to sit in my tour bus, and I would answer phone calls from drug addicts and people with alcoholism, and try to help them get into drug and alcohol treatment. Because when I was home, I had started a drug and alcohol treatment center with a couple friends of mine. And then I went back on the road, and I used to just be on my cell phone talking to addicts after the show every night and helping them to get into treatment. So I ran the website from my tour bus, and I answered all the hotline calls from my tour bus. And I don't know, I just liked it. It's interesting. The opiate epidemic is a huge problem in America.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people are dying per year, and there's such a need to help people, and they're so grateful when you help them. I mean, these people really want to get clean, and I think that's one of the misconceptions about drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
People think that drug addicts are just jerks who just want to screw everybody over, and they don't want to get clean, but the people who call my hotline, they want very badly to get clean. They want it more than anything, and they just can't because addiction has a hold of their brain. So I was able to help a lot of these people. And after a while, doing that after the show and before the show, and being on the phone and then playing the show, I mean, it was exhausting, April.
I can only imagine. I know. I mean, you're playing all night, and here you are sort of running an entirely different business, but it's more than a business. Obviously, you have people that are really desperate, that are calling you as hopefully their lifeline. And I can only imagine that the amount of mental energy that it took to do both of those things at the same time was exhausting.
Yeah, it was pretty exhausting. I mean, I remember the first year that I was running the treatment center, we weren't in a tour bus, we were actually in a van. So I was on a van tour, building this website, and I filmed all these videos with my doctor friend who's an addiction doctor, and I was uploading all those to YouTube on a crummy internet connection through my cell phone, and I was like, oh my god, this is really hard, But we managed to pull it off. I mean, the band was pretty successful, the treatment center was pretty successful, and I was losing my mind. That was really the only thing that was successful.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's probably, I mean, I have this picture in my mind of what your life must have been like, you know, touring in this rock band and kind of like, you know, what people think of when a rock band is on the road. You know, you think of drinking and partying and drugs and just crazy parties and those kinds of things. Were you, you know, did you kind of like see that as you were touring at the same time as also trying to help these people? Was that something that you didn't really see on the road? You know, I'm kind of have this picture. I've never, I've never been a rock star, Casey.
Yeah. It's, you know, a lot of that stuff you're picturing was going on in the 80s, and it's different now.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, people are obviously drinking and partying, and you're in a bar. So everybody who's in the bar or in the venue, if you're in even a big venue or an amphitheater, they're there to party and they're there to drink, you know, and people are drinking all the time. The actual band is, I would say rock bands are partying a lot less than their fans these days. And the reason why is because, you know, due to the decline of rock music, rock bands don't really make money anymore. So we're actually loading our own gear. Wow. We're working our own merch table. So typically I would play the show and then I would load the trailer, and I might be doing some phone calls in between there. And then I would load the trailer in the next day. When we were on a van tour, it was really just the four of us. It was four of us. We loaded all our own equipment. Wow. Our drummer, Micah, was selling merch every night. You know, and we were also recording our album once we finally did get like a bigger, you know, tour bus. We were recording our album in the tour bus. So it's like workaholic territory. Wow. It's not really as much party time as you would picture.
Right, because I think the picture in my mind is back when record labels were really these huge entities and they could just, you know, kind of pay for everything and have people to do all those things for you. But yeah. It's sort of not that way anymore, and it's your job, you know, so you're working.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when I was earlier in my touring career, when rock music was more lucrative and successful, I did have like a bunch of roadies. I had this roadie named Bubba, and he was like 6'8" and 300 pounds, and he would carry all the stuff, and he would set up my stuff, and I would walk on stage, and he would just hand me the guitar. He'd go, "Here you go." I would just put it on, and I would play the show. And even when you and I were touring, we had like tons of crew and stuff. But and there's a few bands that do, but bands post 2010 whose first album came out later than 2010, you know, the public isn't really embracing them anymore. The public only likes old rock. So there's not really enough money for roadies and stuff like that. I did eventually, we have one roadie who was mostly a driver. And he would drive all night while we sleep, and then we would like load the gear the next day. But it's hard work, man. It ain't no like, you know, cocaine vacation like it used to be in the 80s.
Well, good. That's good to hear, actually. I think that's a little, you know, encouraging. But so at the same time, as you said, you had this hotline. You were already helping people with drug and alcohol problems. You started developing this treatment center. I believe the treatment center opened on July 5th in Costa Mesa. Tell us about so tell us about the center, kind of how you developed your program that you offer there, and who you worked with.
Sure. I've had two different treatment centers. The first one was an outpatient center. So the way an outpatient center works is you live in a sober house, and then you go to treatment all day, and you get group therapy and one-on-one therapy. And I work with a psychiatrist, and she's really amazing. Her name's Dr. Beheshti. So Dr. Beheshti designs a whole program. And outpatient is what you do when you've been sober like 30 days and you're ready to talk about the reasons why you might have had so many addiction problems to begin with. Maybe you had some trauma in your life and bad things happened to you, or maybe you have depression or an anxiety disorder.
Right.
And so those are the things you address in outpatient. But before you do that, you actually need to do a detox. So there's all these different stages of treatment. The first thing you do is detox. And in detox, all they do is give you medicine and let you relax and watch a movie so that you can just get the drugs out of your system. and you don't have to go through all the painful withdrawal and feeling like you're going to die.
And I think a lot of addicts are very afraid of that process. I think people are, they're so afraid of what that experience is going to be that it prevents them from actually getting beyond it and you know, getting into recovery. So I think that's a really important part of their journey.
Yeah, the detox is a hard part, and it's scary to people, and that's why people make the decision sometimes not to enter treatment, because they're scared of the withdrawal and how painful it is. The great thing about detox is you go through the withdrawal without really having that much pain. So while there are a lot of you know, psychological adjustments you have to make, you're not gonna have seizures and have your heart stop, and so detox is basically a medical process of just letting the drugs get out of your system. So that takes about 5 to 10 days. And then after that, you do what's called residential treatment. And in residential, it's about a month, and you're fully supervised 24/7. You're still getting medication, but it's getting to be less and less. And you start kind of going out in the world, and we go on trips on the weekend and stuff like that, and it's starting to get a little back to normal. And then you just keep stepping down from there. Then you go to PHP, which is partial hospitalization, and then outpatient, and then just sober living. And all together, it actually takes like 6 to 12 months to really do it right. But so now I have a detox facility where we do detox and residential, and it's inpatient, and I have 14 beds. It's all men, this particular facility. We'll have the women's one open it up later. And we just do that hard part, those first 30 days when you need the doctors and the nurses and the medicine, and you want to relax, and you're not quite ready to maybe talk about all the traumatic things that are happening to you. It's just about kind of like feeling better and being comfortable.
Right. Well, it sounds really important, and it sounds like it's a place where people can really go to get the help that they need. And what's fascinating to me is, you had this dream that a lot of musicians would kill for, and at the same time you continue to pursue this other passion of yours. And beyond the point of just helping people, were there any other reasons why this was an important pursuit for you?
Well, I always tend to float around in different careers, as you know, because you've known me for years. I haven't really had a 9-to-5 job. I mean, in like 15 years or something. And I get bored with stuff, and I know it sounds weird to walk away from a signed touring band, but I don't know, it's just kind of getting bored of the road, to be honest. And the opiate addiction is a big deal these days. It's just growing, and it's destroying our country. And I've noticed that nobody's really stepping up to fight the opiate addiction. I mean, a lot of people are, but the government's not going to fix it. They put a little effort into it, but I mean, I don't know if they really care, if the politicians really care. And I think people are like, well, the government will fix this for us, and I think they're not gonna. I think it's up to just normal people to get involved and try to fight this thing. I guess in the old days it would be maybe churches or civic organizations, and they do their part. I know the Salvation Army has a really cool program, but they don't get any funding. Like Ohio, for instance, is the worst state for opiate addiction, and they have no treatment options. If you're an addict and you're ready to go treatment, there's like one place in the whole state that the Salvation Army runs, and you got to wait 6 months to get in there, and there's just this was an opportunity to fill a void for a lot of people that want to get clean. And I've always had a passion for mental health and helping people. Before I was on tour with you, as you know, I was a social worker for at-risk teens in Queens, New York. So it's just continuing my mental health, career, I guess. That's what my degree is in. And took a little detour to be a rock star. But,
I love it. Well,
gotta get back to it now.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing you've done. The treatment center is called Healing Path Recovery. You can get more information at healingpathrecovery.com. And we were talking before we started today, and you are based in California, and obviously we're here in Providence, but the opioid problem is a huge issue here in New England as well. And we were discussing how a lot of your patients are actually not from California, and a lot of the time it seems better to go far away from your current environment to sort of clear your head and get away from maybe dangerous situations. So, the fact that it's on the other side of the country probably should not be thought of like this is not an option for maybe someone here who's struggling with these issues. Any other information you wanted to give other than the website, healingpathrecovery.com?
Yes, I want to tell people how to get into treatment.
Okay.
If they want to get clean and they're having difficulty, because believe it or not, getting into treatment is not easy. The healthcare system is very difficult to navigate. So if you want to go to treatment and you have, obviously maybe lost your job, lost your kids, your family won't talk to you anymore, you've been to jail a couple times, that's very typical. I mean, if this hotline were to ring right now, I'd probably get someone on the phone with no job, whose family won't talk to them and they just got out of jail. And that's the kind of people I like to help. If anybody in your family is still willing to help you, then the first step would be to try to get yourself some health insurance, because health insurance is what pays for your rehab. It's so expensive to go in a cash pay basis. It's just like going to the doctor. There's doctors and nurses. So you don't want to have to pay that out-of-pocket fee. So get yourself some health insurance. Open enrollment is coming up. It's in November. It only happens for 6 weeks a year. And who knows if that's going to go away soon too, because Republicans are trying to eradicate health care. So you have 6 weeks from November to December 15th to get health care. And if you don't get it at that time, you cannot get it any other time. So if you're an addict and you want to get clean, call up your family and say, I really want to get clean. I need to get insurance. Get ready, because I'm trying to get it this November, and then I'm going to go to treatment. I'm going to do it for at least 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to put everything else in my life on hold. And don't make excuses. Don't say, oh, I can't go to treatment because who's going to take care of my dog? Or who's going to take care of my kids? Because guess what? If you don't go to treatment, you're going to get locked up, and nobody's going to take care of your dogs or your kids. Your kids are going to get taken away. Your dog's going to get taken away by animal control. And everything that you love is going to go away if you don't get clean. And it really is that serious, and it happens every day, and people die from this, and they lose everything they have. So don't make excuses. You got to face it, and you got to take the necessary steps. And unfortunately, that means you got to do a lot of paperwork to get yourself some insurance so you can go to rehab. If you want to be in a really nice rehab that's really effective, PPO health insurance is what you need. So get it in November. And if you already have it, obviously you can just go to rehab anytime you want. So the website is healingpathrecovery.com. We have a lot of videos there where my doctor friend explains how addiction works. You can call anytime at 844-258-7823. It's 844-2JUST-B. And it's on the website. And if you call, I am the guy who will answer the phone. You can talk to me, and I will help you with your addiction issues. I will try to help you get into treatment. I'll explain how it all works. And you can ask for me. I'm the CEO. I'm here at the place right now, as you can see. Pretty nice. This is our living room in our resident center. And you can come hang out here. And we're in Huntington Beach right now, so you can go for a walk on the beach.
Beautiful.
And we got trips on the weekend, you go movie, you go horseback riding, you go hiking. It's actually a very pleasant experience. And it's a lot better than being, stuck on drugs in some hellhole in Providence,
Absolutely. Casey, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for providing some information. And, we'll keep in touch. And if you happen to have any music endeavors coming up, you might get bored.
Back, music world.
All right, perfect. Perfect. Well, Casey, thank you